back to WT Bricks for another episode of Building Gotham City, and we're going to start this episode off working on the flat iron building, or the area around the flat iron should I say. At the end of the last episode I mentioned that I was considering putting this on the waterfront and then rearranging the buildings around the back, and I think that's what I'm going to do. Now at the moment with the Arkham Asylum where it is, there's enough room for two base plates just here. Obviously we need to have a road which is going to lead into Arkham Asylum. And just around here, I can have some water. So what I'm thinking about doing is continuing the water along here. Not sure yet how much of this to make water, whether to do like half a base plate or a whole base plate. So I'm just going to sort of put some base plates down on here to start with, map it all out and see how it's going to be. But one thing I am considering doing is raising this up even higher. So luckily where this is modular, I can take these two top sections off. I can then lie the building on its side, peel the base plates on, put some more support bricks underneath, and then that will raise it up without having to dismantle anything on the bottom there. So again, that's just one thing I'm considering doing at this moment in time. And the only reason I'll do that is if it was up against the water, I'd want it higher up than just sort of like by one brick. So I don't want the water just being pretty much on the base bit just there. So first thing we need to do, lay the base plates out and then start thinking about how we're going to go about it. The mapping out of the waterfront area has started. I put two rows of bricks here. This one here is going to be a high wall, and this row here is going to be where the water goes up to. So I'm just going to have a walkway along the bottom there and probably some steps going up. This bit here is where the road's going to be continuing out of Arkham Asylum, and then the wall will continue all the way around here. Now one thing I'm going to do before I go any further is I'm going to get some Technic bricks out and some filler brick. And I'm just going to support the train tracks. So I know exactly where it's going to be going along around the city, just making sure that everything does fit in place. So let's get those Technic bricks out, support the train track, and then I'll check back in and show you what it's going to look like. Here is option 1 for the train line. And as you can see, I've supported it all the way around. Over here, it will be going out over the water very slightly. And over at the very back there, where the warehouse is, it comes along, goes about 45 degrees straight, and then the other 45 degrees get it around the corner. Obviously the garage, that isn't going to be in the city. I've just built a couple of sets up just so I can get an idea of layout. And again, obviously the old flat iron building at the back there will also be destroyed and going, as will the Sanctum Sanctorum. But really liking how this is all starting to feel. What I'm going to do now, I am just going to experiment one more time with the layout, and what I'm contemplating doing is getting it to come along here and then it'll loop around the flat iron here. So let's move the track around a little bit and see how that looks. Here we have version 2 of the train line, and this section here is obviously a lot longer, and then it goes around the flat iron and then goes off at an angle towards the actual train station itself, and it'll be going over a larger section of water just over there. And I am considering still amending the island where Arkham is sitting on to make it a little bit more characteristic and possibly a little bit smaller on that side, but that's for a lot further down the line. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to peel off these base plates here and start to put the filler brick on to build it up to the level that I want it to actually be at. And then once I've worked out how high I want that to be, I'll amend the base plate that the flat iron building is on. So this is going to come up a little bit higher by about 4 or 5 bricks. And here we have the start of the raised platform area. So as mentioned before, it's going to have 2 tiers on there. So I'm just going to peel the base plates off of the bottom of the flat iron building that was just here, and then we'll make that a little bit higher. And the base plates have come off the bottom of the flat iron nice and easily. So what I can do now, just put some more of the 2x2 bricks all on here to the height that I need it to be. Attach the base plate back on, and that's that part done. That's all the added filler brick added to the bottom of the flat iron building. And here is the mills plate all ready to be attached to it. So I just attach the two together, and then that's the building all up to the correct height now. And there we have the flat iron building up to its new height. And it's going to work out that it's 1 brick lower than the waterfront section just there. The train line is going to be raised up a little bit further than what it is at the moment. A lot happier with having that little bit higher. It's going to be nice to have different levels within the city. I don't want it so it's all on a flat surface. But I just got to work out how much higher I'm going to go with the railway line. It's not like this is going to be a area where there's going to be a park or anything along there, so it doesn't matter if the railway line is quite close to it. I want it to look a little bit dark in places due to the fact this is Gotham City. But yeah, really happy with how this is coming on. So I'm going to do now is just carry on working along these sections here and get them plated off as best I can. Next up, I'm going to get the first one of these sections all plated off and start the details along the wall here. And if I can find out enough plates, I'll also start the water section as well. The brickwork has been started along the waterfront here. And as you can see, I've gone for the dark blue plate as well as the black on the waterfront here. And I'll just put the trans blue tiles over that, and hopefully that'll give it a nice bit of texture with that. Once I've plated all this off, this will eventually get tiled on here, and the same on the very top section. But at the moment, I'm just going to put the grey plate on here, row grey plate just at the front where you're going to be able to see it, and then behind that will just be a filler plate of any colour. And then once we've got this section done, we'll work on the other ones we got prepared earlier. That's the first section all bricked up, plated up, just needs to be tiled. So let's get that one over onto in its place, and we can make a start on the next one. I'm really liking the view that you get from this part of the room, looking down at the waterfront here with the flat iron type building around the top and the train line going around the front of it. I think it's going to look really cool once it's fully detailed on there. One thing I'm not sure about is this waterfront down here. Just having that straight line just seems really boring. So I'm just going to pull one section of this off and just see if I can make it go in and out a little bit using some wedge plates. It's going to involve obviously the brick wall bit not being actually on studs. It will have to be using hinges and whatever else, but it would be nice just to see if there is anything else I can do with it. I have put some snot bricks on I think it's 12 bricks or so, and that's to stick some plates onto the snot brick and then tile over the top of it using some curved tiles. And the idea of that was just to add a little bit more detail along there. However, I do think it might look quite cool if I can angle this a little bit. So let's have a look and see what we can do with it. And here is the start of adding more detail to the wall here. And what I've done is I've put a 4x4 plate on a hinge piece, and that will just clip in to there like so. And then what I'm going to do is put a couple of the wedge plates on the top, and it will join up all seamlessly. And because of the way I'm doing this, there will be the tiles can go all the way over. There'll be no gaps along the top. The only thing I may have is a slight gap down here, but I can fill that in using some brackets and cheese wedges and things like that basically. So what I need to do is put the water underneath so this can rest on top of it, and then it'll be all ready to be tiled over along the top. I think that might give it just a little bit of detail. Would have been nice to have done some different angles rather than just that. However, because of the sort of like tiles, it would start getting really complicated. So I'm just going to stick with this one to start with, see how it looks, and go from there. And here is the revised waterfront area, and I do like the way this comes out at the angle. I've got it as best I can in the section just here. There is a very small gap, but I'm not that worried about it because there are loads like so. One thing I have decided is this walkway here isn't going to be quite deep enough, as it would be quite nice to have a couple of benches along here every now and again. And the problem with that is they'll probably come out to sort of like about here, which means there's only 2 studs for people to be able to walk past. It doesn't look like it's realistic. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring this forward by a couple of studs. I don't want to shrink this back section because where the train line comes, it is coming pretty much to the edge of it, and I don't want overhanging the walkway. So let's modify all of this. I'm also going to move this along by one stud so it's central to this, and add a few more details into the wall, and I might even put some snot bricks in there as well so I can attach some sort of like weeds and things like that. So let's get amending all these changes, and then I'll show you what it looks like once I've done so. There's the first section with all the water added, and I've extended the walkway as I mentioned on there. So now that I know that's all good to go, I'm going to pop that back over onto the mock table, look to see how it looks compared with just the normal one, and then decide whether or not this is the way forward. And there is the water section all in place, and I'm really liking the look of it. Having the angle come out like so, I think does work very well in here. I'm trying to get away from having sort of like straight lines going in the normal direction that you would see with a Lego brick. It's one of the reasons I'm liking the idea of having the train line at this angle, especially around the flat iron. So I'm going to carry on now and do these two sections just here and the one on the end. Hopefully I've got enough black plate and trans tiles to get that section all done. So let's get those all amended, get the pier or the walkway here so it comes out by another two studs on all of these sections as well, and we'll see how it all looks once it's all finished. And just checking in one final time for this update, and here we have the waterfront all tiled off. Really liking how these bits stick out, and I think once it's all tiled off and we've got some benches along here and a few of the other details and fishermen, I think it's going to look so good. The section down here, you're not going to notice these studs are going in a different direction to the others once it's all tiled off. And I've got some steps that are going to lead up to the upper section just here. Need to carry on putting the wall all the way around until it joins up with that part around there. And obviously have the bridge coming in as well. So what I might do is have a little sort of like tunnel that you would walk under the road section just there, which I think would be, again, another added feature which will look pretty good on there. But really pleased with the progress got done this week. Raising the building up, I think, is definitely the right way to go about it, as is having the train line going off at this angle as opposed to it sort of like going behind the building. I think this adds a lot of character to the city. Anyway, that's all we've got time for. Hope you've enjoyed the update. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. And if you know anybody else that'd be interested in the series, please share it with them. Thanks for walking by. See you next time. Bye for now.